Today, it's bloody freezing. It's 2 degrees and I'm out on a full-on sports bike. Yes, this is a full-on sports bike. This is the Energica Ego. This is a 215 Newton meter, 175 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2.6 second super bike. The only thing with this machine is it's electric. Oh. No. Don't be like that. This bike has proper racetrack pedigree. This bike is 80% the same as the machines running around in the new MotoGP Championship. So this is a proper sports bike. We're going to take it out today in 2-degree temperatures. We know how the cold can affect electric vehicles. Let's see how it affects this, how the Energica copes with these extreme weather conditions. So stick around, stay tuned, grab yourself a cup of something warm because you may need it. I certainly do. And Chopsy, roll the intro. So stepping aboard the Energica, I mean, I think, before we go on, I think this bike comes with all these stickers from the factory. This has got the special pack on it that puts all these stickers on and stuff, but it looks good, doesn't it? We'll do a proper walk around in a minute, so don't pay too much attention just yet. To wake it up, you hold the brake and you push this here. And you get the go light come on. Now this bike also has a reverse gear and a slow speed forward gear. I think if you hold that down again for 5 seconds, we go into the reverse. Hello, we are reversing. Nice little touch, isn't it? Bit of reverse. Listen to that. Where's my V4 engine notes? The sound is all a little bit more milk float than Superbike, but apart from the noise, so getting on it, ergos, it feels quite wristy. There's a fair amount of weight on your wrist. It's a proper sports bike position, this. The pegs aren't too high, the pegs are reasonable. The seat is beautifully sculpted to my bottom and very soft. The seat feels really nice actually, but you're locked in. You can't move back, so if you're going to go into a tuck on this, you can't get right back to do a tuck. I am locked in. I think it'll be alright hanging off the side. We'll see in a minute, or as much as we can when it's only 2 degrees. Power, whoa! Oh, she started squirming then, she started spinning up. It's got traction control, of course, and I don't know what level that's on. As it's 2 degrees, or could even be less than 2 degrees, I better just see what's going on there. But she definitely tried to spin out a little bit there, lost a bit of traction. It's got a ton of power. The pull is unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable, that. Whoa! It's fast, and in this position, this sports bike position, obviously you've got weight over the front, so if you're holding the front down a little bit, but I can see already it's trying to wheelie. The front is coming up a little bit there. The brakes, the brakes are really nice there. This is a proper thing. This is a proper sports bike feel to it. Ooh, that's loads of power considering it's 2 degrees and the battery performance will be being severely impacted by the temperature. That's sticking out some torque. Whoa, yeah. This ain't slow. This is a proper. This feels like a proper sports bike. Okay, before we get entirely carried away, let's just go through some of those specs. So this is a 215 Newton meters of torque this engine pushes out. That's rocket 3 torque levels. So incredible amounts of torque, which of course on electric is available immediately in theory. You know, that power is available as soon as the motor starts spinning. But what I've seen from power runs in on these bikes, if you were to get 215 horsepower instantly to the back wheel, no traction control system could handle that, no tyre could handle that. So the way they map these is a bit of a mystery, but I've seen some dyno runs on earlier Egos and it looks like you don't get full power. It's sort of a slow ramp up of that torque. So they actually limit that torque a little bit until you're going faster, basically, because it would just be spinning and it'll tie itself in knots. This is exciting. This isn't just a all the, you know, most of the electric bikes I've ridden in the past, yeah, the Rebel I could tell was a rider's bike. You know, that's the Rebel's the naked version of this. I've reviewed that little card at the top, but this feels like it's a proper sports bike. This isn't just your happy shopper electric to get you to work and back. This has got serious performance to it. Right, I'm tempted before I go any further just to check what the traction control and stuff's doing. I'm just going to pull in here without dying and just see the traction controls on. I've got it in the sport mode and everything, but let's just check we've got traction on. Traction control, we've got, yeah, we've got it on. It's on level 1, which is probably the minimum amount of traction control. When it's 2 degrees out, I'm going to take it up. I'm going to go level 4. A few stats before we go on. The bike had 95% battery power when I left my house. I've done 6.2 miles and I'm at 89% now. Obviously, these conditions are going to really drain that battery, but this bike does come with all the fast charge and everything like that. So as part of this video, I'm going to charge this up. I'm going to find a charger which will just let me pay. The fiasco I had with the Zero, if you cast your minds back, guys, if you haven't seen that video, I borrowed the Zero SRS I think it was, and trying to charge it was just a nightmare. I couldn't find anywhere where you could just pay with your card. You had to pre-register and have all these apps. Absolute nonsense. I've been told if you go to the right garages now, you can just pay with your bank card as if you were putting petrol in your standard combustion bike. So we're going to test that out, and this has got the fast charge capability. So I've been told, probably not in these temperatures, but you can charge it from empty to 90% in 40 minutes. So that's reasonable. It's reasonable. It's, yeah, it's got a load of go, absolute load of go. The brakes, Brembo master cylinder. It's got a lovely feel to those brakes. Feels very much like the RSV4 I rode the other day. Lots of initial bite. You know, it's a heavy machine, this. I guess the downside with electric vehicles at the moment is those batteries are heavy. This bike, that weight of it, I think, is about 260 kilos. So, you know, it's a heavy machine. It's 60 kilos heavier than an equivalent sort of litre sports bike, you know. Riding it, I can tell it has got a bit of weight there. And to change direction, you do have to use sort of lever pressure on the bars. You know, with the naked electric bikes, they can put a big wide handlebar on, and you can just use the leverage to get it to turn. With a sports bike, where you've got the clip-ons, yeah, they are quite wide for a sports bike, but you've still got a lot less leverage than the naked. So to change direction quick, you've got to give it a fair bit of counter steering. But with weight comes stability, and so far this feels quite a stable bike. A little lump in the road here. Wait! Yeah, traction control pulls it back. I can tell with the traction up, actually, it's not releasing as much of that power. It's curbing it back a little bit, but I'm going to leave it on this traction level just because there could be ice and all sorts out today. So, and the temperatures are really low, so let's just be a little bit sensible. Oh, but it's still got a kick, an incredible amount of kick. Also, it's got heated grips, so I've got the heated grips on. My hands are nice and toasty, so you've got a bit of heated grips. But I can tell you straight away that even in these really cold conditions, you've still got loads of, you know, the bike's releasing that power. It's not holding the bike back. Well, if it is, it must be bloody mental if you take it out when it's dry, when it's warmer, because it's incredible the power it's got when it is cold even. Yeah, it's not until I get into sort of a bit too fast that when I give it some, you sort of run out of legs a little bit. So higher up the rev range, it does feel like it's running out, or higher up the speed, it's going faster, but it's getting you to those speeds so fast. It does feel weighty around the bends, and I think probably I could do with having a play around with the suspension. It's got, I think, 43mm Marzocchi forks on, and the rear shock is all fully adjustable, of course. You know, this is a premium bike. The rear shock is Bitu. I've heard of them before, but I don't know how you pronounce it. I'll put it on the screen. A Bitu something. As I always say, all sports bikes must come with cruise control, and this one is no exception. It also has heated grips and cruise control. Set. Oh, there we go. 29 miles an hour as well. I can bring the cruise on under 30 miles an hour. So through towns and stuff, cruise control, like it. How'd you turn it off? touch the brakes. That's why you got to touch the brakes to turn it off, but who excuses that? Overtaking grunt. Oh, it's ridiculous. Wow. Nearly wheelie past him then. That's incredible. It's so fast. That pull it's got when you open the throttle. Yeah, it feels nice in the corners actually. Like I say, you can tell the weight's there, but get your head around the weight, the riding position, the feel. I say the suspension could use a little bit of a tweak maybe, but it feels decent. It feels decent, it feels stiff. You can have some proper fun on this, you really can. This is a proper sports bike. This isn't a happy shopper. This is a Moto E race bike. 90% is a Moto E race bike. That is really cool. This is exciting to ride. It's not just yeah, it's fast, it's a one-trick pony, it's just quick. I could see myself wanting one of these. This does, if I had the space and the money, the horses also love them. If I had the space and the money, morning. It's a nice quiet one for you, this one. No problem. If I had the space and the money, I could see one of these being in the garage. Okay, a bit of a novelty factor maybe, but it delivers on performance, excitement, engagement. This is very interesting. Yeah, it's very nice. It's so stable. In big sweepers like this, you can get it to lay down quite nicely. Other way, you can move around on the seat fine. There's plenty of grip under the tank. It's got that go when you open it up. Brakes are lovely. It's a proper performance machine, this. Right, as I did with the Zero review, I'm going to do a little 0 to 60 test on this. I've got my Draggy, which is here, which is a GPS for drag racing, basically a GPS speed recorder. This only clips onto something metal, which is obviously the tank's plastic, that's plastic, but the frame is metal. Let's connect to it. Connecting to Draggy. We're connected. Let it do its business, and then we'll do a little bit of a 0 to 60 test on this. The battery's already gone off its best, so it's going to be better. Obviously I've said about the cold weather severely impacts these, but energy can say 2.6 seconds is possible. We're going to get nowhere near that, obviously, with a big fatty on like me as well, but let's see what we can do. Now, ideally on here, I'd have my Ultimate Add-ons phone on here, so I could look at things like apps to find petrol stations. Unfortunately, the only way to mount it on this is with a stem mount, and I don't have the adapter, which goes quite as small as the stem size on here. But that's what I'd recommend if you've got one of these. You need your phone mounted here, so you can find gas stations, electric outlets. But I don't have the size for this particular bike. It's a bit small. It's got a bit of a small hole. Not used to having such a small hole. But Ultimate Add-ons will do one which fits this. So phone mount solution for this bike, Ultimate Add-ons. Traction level 1. Cover the rear brake. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go! The front wheel! Whoa! Blimey, pinning it from standstill makes the front come up straight away. That was quite disconcerting. Let's have a look what she did it in. Let's get the phone out. What was that? This is pretty good. 0 to 60, 3.81 seconds. That was 3.81 seconds. It says it's invalid because it was slightly downhill. A 1 degree downhill slope. We'll let it off. 3.81 seconds. That's incredible. At this temperature, wow, that's impressive. 3.81 seconds. I think I'd struggle to beat that on any sort of petrol bike by the time you've got to slip the clutch and stop for wheelies. And that was just a first attempt with the wheel coming up. That's fast. 3.81 seconds in 2 degrees of heat. That is impressive. Wow. Jeez. So there she is, the Energica Ego, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. This is the RS version. Probably should have mentioned, this is the RS version, which is the top spec one. You can see this bike has splatterings of carbon fibre all over it. Even the clock stay down here is carbon fibre. Carbon fibre down here, carbon fibre under tray, which is looking very messy because they were doing burnouts on this bike on an airfield last week because it's in a game. The sound from this has gone into a game because there's a new game coming out with electric bikes in and they didn't have any sound of them. So, but anyway, that's another story. So the front end, we've got the Brembo calipers, not the latest style EMAs, but these are still very, very good calipers. You've got the Marzocchi forks, which actually feel pretty decent. Hiding beneath the fairings, of course, you've got all the electrical gubbins. There is the battery, sitting pretty behind the fairings. What I do like about with the sports bike version is you really can't tell by looking at it that it's electric. Not really, but the actual look of the machine looks fantastic. I think all of these stickers are actually come fitted. This isn't something which has been added on here. These are actually how they come if you get this version. This has got, like, I think they called it the track fairing pack or something, and that version comes with all of these stickers and stuff. It's still got those Johnny 5-esque sort of headlights that the Rebelle had, and a sort of a pointy snouty face. I mean, it's not, I'm not overly sold with the front end, how pretty it looks, but it looks different. It does look very different, and I'm all for some things that look, they could have just done a copy, but it does look a bit different. But from the side, I think it's got some really nice lines. Here we have the motor here, and there's also a transfer box on these. So they've got like a little gearbox, a 2-speed sort of gearbox, I think it is. And there is actually oil within this transfer box, which you have to change every 20,000 kilometres or something. So there's a little bit of oil in it. This has the 21.5 kilowatt hour battery. So this is like the best battery you can get really at the moment. The biggest capacity battery which is available is, I think it's at least 8 kilowatt hours above what the Zeros do. So you get a much bigger battery in the Energica bikes. It is chain drive, so it's not belt, it is chain drive. So there we go, the Energica Ego. Let's jump back on, have some more fun. I've got to be honest, I'm really liking this. I'm really impressed with this bike, I have to say. And I've ridden other electric bikes in the past, but they've always felt a little bit budget from the actual bike perspective. They're not budget because they're extremely expensive, but all of the cost is going into the electronics, the battery, and there's never much left for the suspension, you know. The actual bits that matter when you want to ride a bike and enjoy the bike. The Energicas, the Rebelle was the same. It's the only ones I've ridden which are really engaging. They're really good fun to ride as motorcycles, whether they're electric or not. They're good motorcycles, and I think that's the thing with these Energicas. And because they've been racing these in the Moto E Championship, they've got a bike now which has got a decent chassis. It's got decent suspension. You know, it's actually set up to handle. It's got some pedigree, this bike. It has race pedigree, and I think that's what's important. And you can really tell that not only is it mentally fast when you open the throttle, yeah, it'll run out of puff at 150. It's restricted to 150. Who cares? Who wants to go over 150? You can't. I'm not ready to invest my own money in electric. Being honest, you know, it's not quite there for me, but I ride this and I'm like, well, actually, what is stopping me now? If you can charge the bikes relatively quickly, you get at least 70-80 miles range ridden hard Sunday morning riding, and then sort of 120 miles if ridden a bit more sensibly. That's reasonable distance, and if you can charge it up quickly, we'll see what the charging's like now, see if that infrastructure's caught up with the actual bikes. But this is very, very interesting. This gives me hope that, you know, when the combustion engine does finally disappear, if it ever does, you know, there's other alternatives with hydrogen fuels, etc., synthetic fuels, but if the combustion engine does one day disappear, that electric is now getting to the point where it is a very, very viable option, and this is a really viable option. This is a great fun bike, it really is. And yeah, I'm no longer worried about the future. And I know people will be, oh, it sounds horrible, it sounds like a milk float. It does, I know, you can't, you've lost, what you have lost with this bike, you've lost the noise. I mean, that's irreplaceable to some people, the sound of a motorcycle, and I get it. You've also lost the gearbox. I like going up and down the gearbox, you know, you've lost all of that. So you've lost two major things from the engagement and the fun of riding a bike. But everything else with this bike is up there to make up for it. It's got incredible performance, it handles, it stops. You're just missing that little bit of engagement from the noise and having a gearbox. Let's pull over here and try and find somewhere to charge. Now I've got 54 miles left, 72% battery. I've not been out long, I've been blatting around, I've had fun. I want to find a charger now, just to see how long it takes to charge this back up again. So give me a jiffy. So this is ZapMap, which is great for finding, you know, the nearest charge points. I've put some filters on here. I want to be able to pay with my debit card, which is one of the things, and the connector types. I want the CCS combo, I think it's called. I could be wrong on the connection type, so let's just, I think it's that one. Apply that to my filters. My nearest charging point is 8 miles away in Liphook by the look of it. There's one in 9 miles away in Emsworth. Some connections already charging. These are available. There's 2 of the charge points I want in Emsworth. I'll go to that one. It's got toilets, they've got a cafe. Oh, this is sounding perfect. Take me there, please. There's a speed camera. There's a speed camera here. There's a chat with a speed camera, mobile speed camera. 30 minutes away. Let's give it a whirl. Thank you, Mavis. Mavis will guide me in. Oh, it's taking us back up the hill climb as we're going towards the charge point. That's always... I'm not going to argue with that. Another go up the hill climb. 2-in-1 video. The throttle response is nice, smooth actually. Power! Yeah, it's very good, you know. Lays down on its side beautifully. Lovely bit of dollop of power coming out the corners. You can be smooth with it. You can't, you know, it's not all about masses of jerkiness. It's very smooth and refined, the throttle feel. Brakes are lovely as well. Even turns in under, even trail brakes all right. The dynamics and the chassis on this are lovely. That's that Moto-E racing pedigree for you. Get stuck behind a couple of those 4-wheel shit boxes, you can squirt past them in no time. Overtaking grunts! Jeez! Power! The downside with electric vehicles at the moment is, of course, all of that technology comes at a price. And this is a very expensive motorcycle. It is, I think it starts at £23,000, and I think this RS version starts at £25,000. So it's expensive, you know, this new technology is expensive, but it's the same money as a Ducati V4S, you know. Premium motorcycle, it's premium motorcycle money. It's got a lovely finish, you've got all the carbon on this, but it's not Ducati V4S quality. You know, it's nice, it's not Panigale V4S nice on the quality front, but what you do have to remember with electric is, of course, at the moment, who knows what's going to happen later on when they start taxing it, you know, more people are using it, but at the moment it's around about a penny per mile, you know, for fun. So the bikes are a lot of money to initially outlay and buy, but then once you've bought them, the running costs are very, very low, so you've got to bear that in mind. It's weird not to have any vibrations through the bike, and normally riding a petrol bike you've got some sort of vibrations, whether that's sort of a straight 4 sort of buzz or a V4 sort of burbly vibes. There's nothing really on this. All I can feel is the tarmac. There's no engine noise or vibrations to disguise how the tarmac feels, and that's quite incredible actually. I've never ridden an electric bike where I can really, you know, it's been set up for performance and I can really feel that tarmac. That's really nice actually. You've got no engine vibrations in the way of that feeling. Oh, that's fast. I'm really impressed with this. I have to say, this is the first electric bike that's got me thinking I wouldn't mind one of these actually. This is very, very good, you know. I suggest if you're interested in electric, if electric doesn't instantly turn you off, then go and test ride one of these. I tell you, this is impressive. Whoa! We got ourselves on the back of a bit of a ride out here by the look of it. We're on the back of a group ride out. We start overtaking a few people. He's looking in his mirror thinking, what is that behind me? I can't quite make out what that is. I've never seen anything like it before. Noisy devils on the Super Duke. Come on, think of the environment, guys. Even now we're down to, oh, indicators on, that's burning unnecessary electricity. Even though we're down to 62% battery, it's still delivering massive performance. So impressive. Okay, here we are at the BP garage. Mavis has guided me in. Well, I think we've got some charge points over here. Is this the chargers? Let's have a look, let's have a look. This looks like fancy things. The Pulse electric charging. Let's see how we get on here. I've got no expectations that this is going to work, I have to be honest. She's at 47% battery now. I ain't got a clue, so take me through this. I think that isn't the kitty I want. Is this the kitty I want? Yeah, that looks like the connections I need. Download the Pulse app. Oh my god. Do I have to use the Pulse app? Can I not do it without using the Pulse app? Let me see. God, this is not much flexibility in these cables, is there? Jeez. DC fast charge initializing. Ooh, it's getting exciting. Price for selected outlet, 42 pence per kilowatt. Card payment, start. Verifying. This is getting exciting. This could be working. Preparing to charge, setting up communications with the car. It's not a car. This is getting exciting. This is getting exciting. We're charging. 48%, estimated to 80% charge in 13 minutes. We're charging at 22 kilowatts, 74 amps. 13 minutes. We're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it. So I've got my shit coffee from the Wild Bean Cafe. Keep me warm. It's bloody freezing. And we're still charging. How are we getting on? By the time I've got my coffee and come back, it says we've got about 7 minutes remaining. We're charging at 20. It's going up and down from 19 kilowatts to sort of 22 kilowatts. It's up from 36 amps to sort of 74 amps. So it's sort of fluctuating up and down. And the time's fluctuating up and down as well. But it's charging pretty quick. So I've just bought, by the time I drank my coffee, I think it'll be 80% and ready to head off again. And actually on the pump, I call it a pump, the charge point, it says I've been delivered his 3.16 kilowatts delivered, and we've been going for 8 minutes. So, not too bad. Okay, so charging is completed. Took 17 minutes. It only goes to 80%. It must be something with these stations to try and keep people moving. You can only charge your bike to 80%, which is a little bit annoying. But 17 minutes, well, nearly just under 18 minutes, and it cost me £2.32 to charge to 80%. Very good. I'm not even finished my coffee. So now we can disconnect like so. Get rid of that. Back up there. And we're done. We're done. Let's head off again on the Energica. Woohoo! So I've got to say a massive thank you to Energica UK for lending me the bike. I can only have it a week because it has to go back for Motorcycle Live. They said I can have it for longer next year. And next year we'll take it out again when it's warmer. And we'll also compare it directly with Greg against a petrol sports bike. And we'll see how it compares back to back with something petrol-y performance. But thanks for watching, guys, as always. And I will see you on the next video. Cheers, guys. Power level 1, which is full power. I could do that all day.
What have you done here? I told you I was scared back there.
I've never dropped a bike before in my life. Oh, backfire.
That's it. That's it.
Listen to this. Never mind getting beat up. Give me this any day of the week. Welcome back to MotoGP. I'm back at Silverstone again. This time I'm with Ducati and it's all about electric. It's all about the Moto E Championship. As you probably know, Ducati are fully sponsoring this round, but they're not just sponsoring, they're providing all of the motorcycles. So they've developed a whole new electric race bike just for this championship. And I'm here to learn a little bit more about it. As you can see, unfortunately, the weather is a little bit moist. Not ideal, is it, to mix electric motorcycles with plenty of water? We will see. We've got a little chat with the technical director of the project, and we're going to have a good old poke about, get our noses into all of these bikes and see what it's all about. So if that sounds of interest, grab yourself a cuppa. I suggest something warm, because it's a little bit chilly here today. Chop C, roll the intro. You didn't know I had my own race team, did you? I'm here with Roberto Cane. Apologies for my Italian pronunciation, it's very, very bad. First of all, thank you very much for taking the time out your busy weekend to speak to us.
No problem.
What's your exact role then with the Moto E project then, Roberto?
Exactly?
Yeah, what's your role? What's your role?
My role,
official title.
Yeah, let me say I'm the responsible of this project. My official title is the e-mobility director. Wow. Yeah, especially because I moved. I'm formerly the responsible for electronics in the Ducati Corse, but now, yes, I'm the manager of a brand new group for the electrification.
So you were the electrics man. You got the new project of the electric bikes.
Yeah, exactly that. Okay. Just tell me that I was the very first involved in this project. Let's say like this.
So you from the bottom, no looking back, these bikes right under the ground.
Exactly. We had to build a group from ground up because there were nobody in Ducati at the start of the project who was able and had the knowledge for electrification, the electric powertrain and designing and building this kind of some motorcycle. So it was very exciting.
And why did Ducati want to get involved with the Moto E project? What was the main driver behind it?
Yeah, the main driver was to achieve two goals. One, still working in the competition, in the racing world. The DNA of Ducati is in the racing, with the MotoGP, World Superbike, and so on. But on the other side, for us, the Moto E is a fantastic, let me say, advanced R&D department for developing this new kind of motorcycle, because we had no experience in the world of electrification. So we decided that Moto E was a very good test bench to start with in order to design and
so just to learn more about the technology to hopefully trickle down one day to potential road
exactly
models.
That's our goal, to start to learn to prove everything. Start with a controlled environment. Racing environment is very controllable, very, very stable. You don't go on the road immediately. So you have the possibility to understand better in a controlled environment the behavior of what you did. And then the idea is to go in the future on the road.
This is one of the batteries.
This is the battery pack, exactly.
And designing the bikes, did you sort of, with the Audi group, did you any sort of sharing of information around the electronic stuff, the batteries?
Yes, not exactly the batteries or particular, let me say, device. We had a general approach with Audi group. Let me say, they were very open to us, to help us to learn how to work, let me say. And so we had very good collaboration with all the brands of the VW group, in particular with Lamborghini, for example, Audi, Volkswagen, Porsche, that are very involved in high performance electrification. So we had more suggestion from them. And then, of course, we had to work to find how to work and do everything by ourselves.
And what were the biggest challenges with this project then? Because you know, it's, I guess range. You know, there's a lot of heat generated.
Yeah, you're right.
These engines as well, isn't there?
Yeah. Let me say two things. What is not technical, the other yes. The not technical one is amazing, in my opinion. The group that works for Moto E is made of people coming from Ducati course and from production. Okay. So the biggest challenge was to put those two so different minded people to work together. So it was very, very challenging, but fantastic in my opinion. And on the other side, exactly, is this part. This part is the most challenging one, because, you know, we had to reach three and to how can I say, find the compromise between three parameters that are completely different. That is the range, the power, and the weight. So we had to find and to define how much energy to put, how big and to be the electric motor, to reach the weight, reduce the weight. And we found that for us this is the best compromise. For example, Dorna gave us a weight limit. We decided to go also below that limit, because
a maximum
limit. It was 137 kilograms. The bike is 237 kilograms. The bike is 225.
Okay.
Yeah. So we decided to make it lighter in order to get a bike that is better rideable and better performance. We decided to shrink the bike, let me say. Have a smaller bike, because in our opinion was better to do a smaller bike than a bigger, powerful, but very heavy to handle bike.
So you knew it was 8 laps a motor, is it 8 laps a motor race?
Yes, it depends on the circuits, of course, because the distance is different, the power consumption is different. For example, here in Silverstone, we will run only for 6 laps, while in Mugello are 7, for example. It depends on the circuit.
And were those limits, the race distance, set by the technology, or was that something Dorna said you had to be able to meet this many laps and you're designing for that?
Yes, it's no, the limit was given us by Dorna, to be honest. But of course, it's a matter of also of cost. Let me say, we can have build the different batteries with different performance, but using, for example, cells coming from labs. And they are very, very expensive. We could, you know, it's so not worth
a cost.
Yes, also cost and performance. Exactly.
And the actual design of it, it's a bit like the Panigale, isn't it? Where you've got the central component, the engine. Well, not the engine, but the battery.
The battery.
And then the other elements are bolted onto that. Is that right?
You're right. That's right. That's right. You know, the R&D department is again a mixer of people of racing department and the production department. So there are a lot of people also that designs Panigales and also other bikes. So we put together a lot of heads and we found this layout that, in my opinion, is fantastic.
And is that different to the older Energica versions? Is that,
yes,
is that more
It's completely different because Energica, you know, it's a trellis frame, external trellis frame with, let me say, more regular shape battery in the middle. We decided to have, let me say, a proper racing bike to use a completely different approach. And so we decided also to use the battery as a stress part of the frame. The battery is designed together with the front frame, the rear frame, the seat tail, etc., to behave exactly like, for example, a Ducati Superbike in terms of weight distribution and also stiffness.
Is that why it's carbon outer shell?
It's full carbon. There are two shells bolted together, and inside, of course, all the cells and the electronics part. But the shells are designed and, how can I say, CFD. We made a lot of CFD simulation in order to get the torsional strength. Yes, exactly. So.
Wow. And what would you say is the biggest sort of innovation with this? Because
I've
heard the thing about the cooling, there's sort of central cooling through the battery.
The cooling is very, very important. It was another challenge because another constraint was to have a bike that was immediately ready after the race to be recharged, and also immediately ready after finishing finishing charging the battery to be used for next race. So the cooling, and also we have to run in every environmental condition. Now it's raining, but you can imagine
40 degrees.
40 degrees, exactly. So we had to work a lot on the cooling system. So we decided to split the cooling system in two, and one is dedicated to the battery. The bigger radiator that you can see there is dedicated to the battery, because the cells must stay at, let me say, relatively low temperature. And also because during recharging we keep the water flowing, and with a fan we cool down the battery.
That's good.
And the other smaller radiator, it's dedicated to the motor and to the inverter to cool them during racing.
So is heat ever an issue during the race, or it is sometimes still, even with all that cooling, it's sometimes still...
Yes, we are, if we reach 40 degrees, let me say, we are at the limit.
You're getting a little bit worried.
Exactly. But anyway, we made a lot of tests in very harsh condition, and the system was working fine. So,
is there any further developments to come, or is the project sort of there now, or is it always continually being worked on, developed?
Yes, we'll keep on developing it. As for us, as you can imagine, this championship is an advanced R&D test lab. Okay, so and also together with Dorna, we have agreed to have small changes during the years, but you know, as it's a proving ground for us, maybe we'll.
And do you think how close is this technology to being put into a Ducati production model? Do you think? Is it 1 year, 2 years, or do you think this technology isn't going to be what's going to go into a production machine, in your opinion?
Of course, the technology of carbon fiber or all the lighter part that you see here are dedicated to racing bikes. So we are working to, right now, to build some other prototypes that are more close to road bikes. So I think it would be very interesting to make an experience also on road bikes. But the technology, especially for the cells, in our opinion, is still not ready for, let me say, big displacement bikes, where you need to have a very lightweight bike, long range and high power. So it will need few years. To have another.
So of the future technology which is coming, like we've got the solid state battery.
Yes, for example.
Do you think that could be? Do you see that as being the key to making it all potentially work? Or?
Yeah, the solid states is a very interesting technology. I don't know, still haven't tested it. I don't know if it would be the answer for production bikes. So maybe we'll need a few steps more.
Well, I guess you have to test it racing to see if it's any good, won't you? Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Really
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We've been out, watched the racing. Unfortunately, Dorna regulations, I can't show you any of the racing, but we've been right on to the pits and actually watching the race from the pits. It's been quite amazing watching the Motor E race from the pits. And I've been on the grid. I've had the, hello mate, I've had the full MotoGP experience today, and it's been absolutely amazing. But yeah, just to be in the pits, I stood by the boxes, watching all the data they've got, and they're so fast, those bikes. I'll see if apparently I'm going to be sent some stock footage so you can sort of see and how quick these bikes are, but it's quite amazing.
Everything fine?
Cool. The race is actually over now, so the bikes are coming back into the pit, let's call it, and they've got a spare bike over there which wasn't actually used in the race, so they're discharging that one before these get packed up and shipped off. So that's discharged back into the grid, if you like. You can see on this one where the front frame just attaches to the battery, so it's like a Panigale on the concept, you know, where the actual battery is like the stress member and everything else just bolts to the battery, exactly like the Panigale with the way everything bolts to the engine. It's a very, very similar concept on these. You can see how thick that carbon fibre is. You can imagine the cost of these components are incredible. It's about, well, it's about 5 mil thick, that carbon, and that acts as a safety to enclose, as an enclosure for the battery, as well as to provide the rigidity. So, quite an incredible bit of kit. That's it, all done. I'm going to retreat back to Ducati UK to dry out because it is rather wet here today. So I hope you enjoyed that. It was really interesting for me, that Moto E project, and a massive thank you to Ducati for inviting me along because I found it absolutely fascinating, and I hope you have too. So until next time, guys, see you later. Welcome on, guys. Well, I'm in cyclist hell at the moment. Cyclists everywhere, and I'm also on the electric FXS, the Zero FXS electric Supermoto, and these cyclists really can't hear me. You have to watch out for them pulling out and overtaking each other. But anyway, enough of that. This is the second part of my FXS review. I've had this bike for a week now. I've rode it economically, I've rode it flat out, I've tested out all of the custom map settings that you can do with it. I'm ready to give my verdict on the Zero FXS. So first of all, massive thank you to the English electric company who lent me this for a week.
They're based in Norfolk. They dropped this off to me, a fair old trip for those guys. So if you're thinking of buying an electric bike, first of all, I recommend you check those guys out. They will even deliver bikes to you to test ride if you're really serious about buying one. So this bike, what do I think to it? It's a very, very difficult one to review because I've not tried any other electric bike, so I can't do a comparison between this electric bike and another electric bike. So I can only do a comparison between an electric supermoto and a petrol supermoto or motorcycle, lightweight motorcycle. First of all, some of the stuff I covered before, I mean, as a bike, the main things, brakes, handling, all of that stuff is very good. The suspension is a little bit budget. I think there's been some cost saving with the suspension. It's a little bit clashy over sort of bumpy surfaces. And what is going on here? I think I'm in the middle of a bike race. It has an eco and a sport mode. The eco mode limits your torque. It limits your top speed. It also turns on maximum regeneration when you're coming off the throttle, because this will actually charge itself. When you come off the throttle, it will regenerate the electricity, so it turns the motor into an alternator and it charges the battery. Also, when you go on the brakes, it charges the battery as well. Now, I don't know how that works. I don't know how that braking energy is turned into electrical current to charge the battery. I don't understand that, but apparently it does. And there's a little gauges on the dash which show you regen and output, so you can see how much throttle you're giving it, how much torque you're giving it. And the same when you come off the gas, it swaps down and shows how much regen you're doing on the battery. Big girls, you are beautiful. If ridden hard, I've been able to get about 50 miles out of it. So that's if you're going out for pleasure. If you're giving it a lot of right wrist, you're riding without any consideration for economy, you get about 50 miles. So, you know, that's a couple of hours riding, really, an hour and a half's riding when you're opening it up. So it's not even really an evening's worth of going out and having fun. So it's not a lot. If ridden sensibly, I'm actually in eco mode now, and as part of this review we're going to see what range I can get when ridden in eco and ridden as sensibly as you practically can on the road. I mean, a lot of people said, you know, how does it compare to riding a petrol motorcycle? It isn't as engaging. It isn't as engaging because you've got no gears, you've got no noise. That does take away some of the engagement, some of the fun with riding it. It can't be denied. This would make a fantastic camera bike because you can really hear, I mean, listen to this. You can really hear the other vehicles on the road. It would make a great camera bike for following the petrol powered brethren. I can go to Lumi's and I can be pretty much guaranteed this is going to be the only electric bike at Lumi's, not alone an FXS. If I pull up and there's another FXX at Lumi's, I will donate £100 to charity. That's how confident I am that it's going to be the only one there. Oh, that sounds nice. Let's go into Lumi's. Look at all these bikers. I better hope there's no other FXSs here. Well, it's going to cost me 100 quid. He comes in. No one even notices he's arrived on his silent motorcycle. Yeah, it's 105 newton-meters of torque from nothing. And then as the revs go up, the torque goes down. It's like opposite to a...
That means left or right hand rule. One or two.
That's it, that's it.
5-year.
5-year guarantee on the battery, and 250,000 miles they reckon.
Wow.
On the battery.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Yeah, a lot better than they used to be then.
It is, and it only weighs 135 kilos. It's not even heavy. But yeah, some interesting comments from people about the bike. I think people are surprised how far along the battery technology has come already. I think when people talk to them about the weight of the bike, the power it makes, the torque it makes, you know, the miles that they're claiming that the battery can do, 250,000 miles, the 5-year warranty, I think people overall are actually quite surprised that the technology has reached this level already. What is nice on this is just coming out and cruising. Just coming out and not looking to go fast, not looking for excitement, but just a day like today, the sun is out, it's a beautiful day, just to come out and admire the countryside. You know, you've got no noise. You do feel a lot more engaged with your surroundings because you don't have any noise. So it is absolutely gorgeous just to come out. It's almost like going out on a push bike. You've almost got that same sort of at oneness with the with your surroundings, with the countryside. It is quite therapeutic, let's call it. All very civilised. Out of the road. They cannot hear me. They don't know I'm here. They're a bloody menace. Another horse. Horse loves it. There's something very English about this. 79% left, 17 miles done. An estimated range of 45 miles still. I think we're going to get about 80 miles, I'm guessing. 80 miles on eco mode. People say, can you wheelie it? Can you wheelie it? I think you could wheelie it with some practice. I'm not going to try now because that's going to burn additional electric. But the problem why you can't wheelie it is they've made the throttle response very subdued. So it's very gradual. So you open it up and it's, you know, it needs to be sharper. It's a bit flat, the throttle, and that makes it really hard to wheelie because you can't snap it to get the front up. I've been through the app, you can't adjust the throttle map. You know, you can't choose a different aggressiveness of your throttle map. If you could, and you could sharpen that up, I think it would be a bit of a wheelie monster. I think you could snap it, it would come up and just hold it as it accelerates, because you've got no gear changes and you've got loads of torque. But as it is, with the soft map on the throttle, it is possible with some bouncing and getting the timing right, but it's not easy. Get some tuning done on it. Get it tuned. I'm going to turn around. Steering lock, it's really good. It still takes some getting used to when you stop just having nothing. 69% battery, 22 miles covered. There's a bike. There's another one. Common as muck. So I'm stuck behind a caravan, but I don't care. I'm just enjoying cruising along. Yeah, you can go cruising on a Super Duke, on a naked, but you're not quite as at one with your surroundings. She's charging down the hill. She's massively charging when I pull the brakes. I don't know how that works. But the engine braking you get when in eco mode is similar to the Super Duke. It's a lot of engine braking when it's charging. It's sort of almost like you've got the back brake on a little bit. You can limit, you know, you can turn that down, you have as much as you want. Change it through the app how much regen stroke engine braking you want. Oh, we gave it a bit of overtaking there. So I hinted at it in the last video. We did some performance comparisons with this and the 701. The 701 being a similar sort of bike. It's a similar price to this. It's a supermoto bike. So how did the FXS compare in a launch against a tuned 701? The 701's got an exhaust, it's got a power commander, it's got a filter, so it's slightly tuned. How did the FXS compare? Let's take a look. This is it. Which is quicker? 701 or the FXS. Electric versus petrol. There's a lot of stake here. Electric versus petrol. I do. Go! Beating to 70, I thought that might happen. Do one more back that way. 3, 2, 1, go! Come on, baby! That's quite amusing. So it's quick. You can beat a tuned 701 to around 70, but then it runs out of legs a little bit. The government have said, you know, by 2040 all vehicles being sold must be electric. So, you know, 20 years time you're not going to be able to buy a fossil fueled vehicle anymore. So we need companies like Zero designing these bikes, maturing this technology. Yes, this is fantastic, it really is. Whether it's got enough miles to be, you know, it's great for a certain group of people. If you need to commute and your office is within 30 miles of your house, then this is a very, very good, viable, cheap solution to get you to work. I mean, people will say, yeah, okay, you're charging it at home, but you're still burning fossil fuels when you're plugging it in at home. You know, you can't preach about being fully safe to the environment and everything, because, you know, fossil fuels are still burned. Nuclear power stations are still producing toxic waste to charge these things. And at the moment, if everyone were to switch tomorrow to electric vehicles, the national grid would absolutely collapse. It's already at capacity, so, you know, the government knows they're probably not going to be ready in 20 years time. There's so much investment needed in renewable energies, there's so much investment needed on the national grid to be able to support everyone charging their vehicles at home. You know, at the moment there is a long way to go until all of that infrastructure is ready, and you know, every year these batteries get slightly better, slightly better, slightly better. Now they're at a point with the supercharger where it is a viable option. What they're going to be like in another 10 years, what they're going to be like in 20 years, hydrogen cells perhaps, solid state batteries perhaps. You know, this is a maturing technology still, and this isn't the final product yet, if you like. But the way things are going, it really is quite exciting, and I think motorcycling is very much going to be alive in the electric era. Gorgeous. So there we go, heading home now. I've got 12% battery remaining. I've covered 61 miles and it's estimating another 10.4 miles until I run out. So 70 miles range on eco driven real world environment, you know, so a little bit of overtaking. It's quite hilly around here, so I've been up lots of hills. About 70 miles, which is what they're claiming, so pretty happy with that.